Today we are privileged to have with us Professor Praveen Mishra, the esteemed head of the Department of Law at Sikkim University. We will be discussing a topic of great national significance, the new criminal laws of 2023, which mark a major reform in India's legal framework. These include Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita and Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam. We look forward to Professor Mishra experts insights on this important legislation. Welcome Professor Mishra. Namaskar.
Thank you for inviting me to the studio.
Sir, what was the need for bringing the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita?
The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 was introduced to replace the Indian Penal Code 1860 with the aim to modernize, decolonize and Indianize the criminal justice system of India. Of those objectives, I would rather say decolonizing was the most important objective of the new criminal laws. Let me tell you that there are sections which you will find in the Indian Penal Code which were of colonial mindset. For example, law of sedition, which provided punishment for words or actions that bring hatred or contempt against the government. The other example that you can take is an offense of adultery, where only man could be punished for having a relationship with a married woman without her husband's consent. Here, the woman was not punishable, as women was treated as a property of their husbands. So we have tried to decolonize the Indian Penal Code and we have come up with the new criminal laws, namely Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023 in this regard.
Moving forward, how is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita different from the Indian Penal Code 1860?
It is considered quite tough on criminals and at the same time it is justice oriented. Let me explain you how it is justice oriented. The Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, if you look the various provisions of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, you will find that the Sanhita encourages the compounding of certain offences where the parties can settle their matter mutually, and this allows for resolution without unnecessarily burdening courts or leading to the disproportionate punishment, focusing on reform of the offender rather than retribution. Certain new kind of punishment which has been brought into force, that is, you can say community service. This has been introduced as a form of punishment.
What is the impact of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita on criminal cases recorded under the Indian Penal Code?
The crimes recorded under the Indian Penal Code would not be affected as far as the amount of punishment is concerned. There will be a faster and time-bound justice within the new criminal laws.
Professor Mishra, please tell us about some of the important features of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita.
Frankly speaking, there have been very important features of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita and it will not be possible for me for the paucity of time to explain all those, but I'll just try to, you can say, point out the most important offences or the most important features which is of a common interest or which is important to be known by the common man. For example, before explaining, let me explain you that in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, new offences have been defined which were not there in the Indian Penal Code. For example, mob lynching, hate crimes, chain snatching, cyber frauds, terrorism and organized crime. Of course, these offences were there, and I'm not saying that under the existing Indian Penal Code these offences could not be dealt with. They have been dealt, but there was no explicit provision regarding these offences. There was no explicit definition of these offences, as I've told you.
You just mentioned about chain snatching. How was chain snatching dealt with under the Indian Penal Code 1860?
This is a very interesting question that we have asked. Chain snatching was of course not defined as a separate and specific offence, but it was dealt with using a combination of existing provisions, primarily under theft and robbery, depending upon the circumstances in which the offence was committed.
Sir, chain snatching was not mentioned in Indian Penal Code earlier, sir?
No, it was not specifically mentioned under the Indian Penal Code.
So what is community service, sir?
This is a very significant reform that has been made in the criminal laws of the land, and community service Actually, it aligns with the modern criminal justice principles that emphasize restorative justice and rehabilitation over purely punitive measures.
Moving forward, what is the nature and duration of community service under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita?
Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita actually lacks detailed operational definitions and monitoring mechanisms. Courts may order offenders to perform unpaid labor benefiting societies such as cleaning public spaces, working in shelters or libraries, or participating in environmental projects. Of course, the duration of the community service has not been clearly defined, and it will be decided by the courts depending upon the nature of the crime which has been committed by the offender.
Sir, what is mob lynching?
Mob lynching is often heard about. Often we come across with the news related to mob lynching. If you ask me what is mob lynching, I would just say that it refers to an act of group of people. It refers to the act of group of people, rather I should say a mob, unlawfully killing or assaulting a person, often based on rumors, suspicion or allegations without any legal trial or due process.
Mob lynching was not defined under the Indian Penal Code 1816. Then how was it dealt with under the Indian Penal Code?
It was dealt with using various existing provisions depending upon the nature of act. For example, murder, hurt, rioting, unlawful assembly, etc. Because provisions were there in the Indian Penal Code regarding murder, hurt, rioting, unlawful assembly, section 34, common intention and common object. These were of course there. So these provisions were used jointly to handle the cases which you call mob lynching.
Moving forward, nowadays hate crime often make news headlines. What is hate crime, and can you explain it for our listener?
Hate crimes are not defined as a single category. However, certain provisions in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita has tried to address the offences that can be classified as hate crimes. That is, crimes motivated by prejudice based on religion, caste, race, sex, language, religion, or other identity factors.
Sir, also tell us some important features of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023.
Precisely, I would say that the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita has laid great emphasis on technology, and the provisions have been expanded to such an extent that the technology can be used to administer the criminal justice system. The technology can be used for the administration of criminal justice.
It is technology driven and need to be completed in a time bound manner.
Yes, it is very correct to say that the effect of the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita is that the administration of criminal justice will be done in a very fast and time bound manner.
Sir, please explain to us the meaning of electronic FIR and also what is zero FIR.
Okay, if you look from the angles of a common man, the common man thinks that when he has to inform the police that a certain cognizable offense has been committed, he will go to the police station and inform the police officer that a particular cognizable offense has been committed. Even he is not aware of the fact whether the offense is cognizable or non-cognizable. He will just go and inform the police officer of the police station that some offense has been committed. But now, under the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, there is no need to go physically to the police station. You can inform the police officer of the concerned police station through email or mobile app with geotagging. And of course, you'll have to go and sign it within 3 days of giving the information. Only then it will be treated as FIR.
Okay, so what is zero FIR, sir?
Zero FIR, this is a very interesting term, and people generally talk about this. They want to know about what is zero FIR. Actually, zero FIR means that if an offense has been committed, then you have a statutory right to go and get it registered. That means you can file a first information report at any police station, regardless of where the offense has been committed. And the need was felt to address this problem, because before coming into effect of this Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, whenever people went to police station and tried to inform the police officer that offense has been committed, they immediately said, no, we are not going to register this because this offense has been committed in the jurisdiction of some other police station. And at times this affected the fate of the case. because there are certain offenses where time is of very critical importance. So now the effect of this provision regarding zero FIR is that you can go and lodge a FIR at any police station, irrespective of the jurisdiction where the offense has been committed.
Lastly, what is the new things which has been brought in Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam, which was not there in the Indian Evidence Act?
Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam is more or less same as the, you can say, Indian Evidence Act. The only change, or I should say the only significant change which has been made in the Bharatiya Sakshya Adhiniyam is that special provisions have been made for electronic evidence. Amendments have been made to include provisions related to electronic records and digital evidence. Now there will be greater use of audio-visual instruments. There will be greater use of mobiles as far as the you can say the administration of criminal justice is concerned. For example, if search and seizure is taking place at some place, then it can be recorded by your mobile. It can be recorded by other audio visual instruments. Mobile is very easily available, so anybody can record it. So it will be admissible in evidence. So this was, you can say, all about the Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam.
Thank you, Professor Praveen Mishra, for sharing your valuable insight on the new criminal laws of 2023, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, and Bharatiya Saksha Adhiniyam. Your in-depth analysis has helped us better understand the intent, structure, and implications of this landmark legislation. We are grateful for your time and expertise. On behalf of Akashvani Gangtok, we extend our sincere thanks and look forward to more such enlightening conversation in the future. Namaskar and thank you once again.